To count one, malice murder, we, the jury, find Quanisha Johnson
She called 911 4 times. 4 separate times she asked for help. And when no one came, she walked back into that house with a gun. What happened next would divide an entire courtroom and raise a question that no verdict can fully answer. Was Quanisha Johnson a woman pushed past her breaking point, or a woman who had already made up her mind before she ever walked through that door? Here is the image that defines everything you are about to hear. Picture a woman sitting in a car, in a cul-de-sac in her own neighborhood, too afraid to walk into her own home. She has called police 3 times. She has triggered her home alarm. She has flagged down a passing officer with her bare hands. And still, she is sitting there waiting. That image is the center of this entire case. Everything else, the gun, the tire iron, the word, bye, rotates around that single moment of a woman waiting for help that never came. Before we go deeper into what the evidence actually shows, make sure you're subscribed to your channel name. Because we don't just cover the story, we follow the facts. Quanisha Johnson was a 30-year-old behavioral health technician and mother of 4, including a 2-month-old infant, living in a rental home on Edenberry Lane in Georgia. She was the sole name on the lease. Every utility was in her account. This was her house. 30 days before November 27, 2022, she allowed her former romantic partner, Damonte Smith, to move in.
On November 27, 2022, Quanisha Johnson ended a man's life, citing self-defense as her motive amidst fears for her safety. However, a deeper investigation into the case reveals legitimate questions. Was her action a necessary act of self-defense, or a case of a woman who snapped and took the law into her own hands?
He had recently been released from prison on a felony charge. He had nowhere else to go. She let him in. She was left defenseless. That is not a defense attorney's spin. That is the documented sequence of events. 2 weeks before the shooting, Damonte grabbed Quanisha during an argument and forcefully slammed her to the ground. She did not call police that night. She absorbed it. She kept moving. On the evening of November 26th, she went out to celebrate a friend's birthday. Her first real night out after 9 months of pregnancy and full-time work. She left 3 of her children in Damonte's care and told him she would be home by 6 a.m. She was not home by 6 a.m. Her phone had died. When she finally powered it back on around 9 a.m., she found his messages waiting. Among them, a text message that read, according to court testimony, "When you get home, I'm going to beat your ass." That phrase on Crip is a sworn declaration. It is not venting. It is not frustration. In the culture and context in which it written, it is a promise. She called her aunt. Her aunt 3 weighed Damonte in. On that call, with witnesses listening, he repeated the threat out loud. And here is where the prosecution and defense split permanently. The prosecution's position was that Quanisha herself said in her own police statement that she was laughing it off, that she didn't take it seriously.
But the evidence is going to show what actually happened is she set her plan into play. She was embarrassed in front of her family when Damonte made that threat, so it was time to get rid of him.
2 hours later, she shot him. She was left defenseless. And that gap between laughing it off and pulling a trigger is the gap this entire trial was built inside of. She called 911.
2 additional 911 calls, and nearly 2 hours later, Quanisha finally arrived and 2 deputies were present to meet her outside her home. As the officers questioned Quanisha, she told them she was worried that Damonte might become violent because she was out late and didn't immediately return his calls. In later testimony, she said she didn't tell officers about Damonte's criminal past or show them the text messages because they didn't ask.
Then a 3rd time. She triggered her home security alarm specifically to generate a 4th call for help. She drove around the corner and physically flagged down an officer. She told every single one of them the same thing: "I am afraid to go into my home. I need an escort." When 2 deputies finally met her outside, Damonte walked out carrying her 2-month-old baby, dressed only in a diaper in 60-degree weather. What followed was a loud, heated exchange in front of law enforcement. The deputies told them both to go inside and cool off.
Inside the house and cool off. Damonte returned to the house first, But before Quanisha went inside, she was captured on body cam audio in an ominous exchange with the deputies.
Do you need anything else?
Get down and get my extra tonight. So when I shoot him for self-defense, then what? Because I'm like this. So if I shoot him in my residency, because he's sitting here putting hands me for the second time, then what? I'll have him. You hear this, right? You heard what he just said? I'm going to ask you tonight. So when I shoot him, and I need all the cops to get that house, make sure you can articulate. I can't. What's going on? I can't. I'm sure. You better really be able to articulate that.
And then, here is the ticking clock moment. At this exact second, with 2 armed officers parked 30 feet away, with her children inside that house, with a documented prior assault and written death threats on her phone. What is a woman supposed to do when the system tells her to go cool off with the man who promised to beat her? Quanisha went to her truck.
Suddenly, Quanisha returned outside, retrieved a gun and a tire iron from her truck, and returned to the house. Moments later, chaos ensued. Damonte is captured on doorbell surveillance, exiting the house and stumbling towards the deputies. He told one officer, "She hit me with the metal thing first, bro, and then she shot me. Hurry up before I die." Damonte then fell to the floor. An ambulance transported him to Emory-Hillendale Medical Center, where he succumbed to his wounds.
She retrieved a firearm and a tire iron. She went back inside. Moments later, Damonte stumbled out of the front door, bleeding, and told officers, "She hit me with the metal thing first, then she shot me." He was transported to Emory-Hillendale Medical Center, where he died from his wounds. As Quanisha exited the house, she said something that became the most disputed sentence in the entire trial.
The second pivotal moment in the trial involved a disputed statement by Quanisha right after the shooting. Prosecutors and detectives claimed that as she left the house, Quanisha stated, "I told y'all I was going to do it." In contrast, the defense argued she said, "I told y'all he was going to do it." Reporters had varying interpretations of what they heard when the court played the audio clip multiple times at the trial.
Prosecutors claimed she said, "I told y'all I was going to do it." The defense maintained she said, "I told y'all he was going to do it." Court reporters who heard the audio multiple times in open court could not agree on which version was accurate. She was left defenseless. And that ambiguity, one word, one pronoun, may have been the difference between malice murder and manslaughter. The jury acquitted Quanisha Johnson of malice murder. They found her guilty of voluntary manslaughter, aggravated assault, family violence, and related charges. Her daughter called by the prosecution to testify.
During the trial, 2 pivotal moments occurred. The prosecution called one of Quanisha's daughters to testify, who had previously stated to forensic child interviewers that she witnessed Quanisha hitting Damonte with a pole before the shooting. However, while testifying, she changed her account, claiming it was Damonte who had struck her mother with the pole. The prosecution suggested, through their questioning, that the young girl might have been coached to make statements in her mother's favor.
Had previously told forensic child interviewers that she saw her mother strike Damonte with a pole. On the stand, she changed her account entirely. The prosecution suggested she had been coached. The defense asked no further questions. Quanisha was sentenced to 20 years, 10 years incarceration, with 5 of those years in actual prison and 5 under house arrest, followed by 10 years of probation. Legal analysts noted that the sentence was unusually lenient given the charges. The judge granted an appeal bond. As of the time this script was written, she remains under house arrest while her attorney challenges the conviction. The Georgia Stand Your Ground immunity hearing.
Quanisha's defense team sought immunity from prosecution under Georgia's Stand Your Ground law, filing a motion accordingly. Judge Shandiana Morris oversaw the immunity hearing on June 20, 2023, where both sides presented their evidence. The defense brought forward 4 witnesses, including Quanisha herself, while the state relied on the testimony of the lead detective. However, inconsistencies in the defendant's evidence and contradictory testimonies led to Judge Morris's decision on July 21st to deny the motion for immunity. She concluded that the defense did not successfully justify Quanisha's use of deadly force.
Overseen by Judge Shandiana Morris in June 2023, denied Quanisha's motion for immunity. The judge concluded the defense did not sufficiently justify the use of deadly force. That ruling sent the case to a jury, and the jury gave back something the judge did not: reasonable doubt on the highest charge. She was left defenseless. That phrase does not resolve anything. It simply refuses to disappear. If you want to form your own conclusion about this case, the DeKalb County District Attorney's press release, the court's immunity hearing ruling from July 21, 2023, and the trial record are all publicly accessible. Read the body cam transcript. Read the immunity ruling. Then come back and answer this in the comments if she had never called 911 even once and walked in and shot him after the first threat. Would the outcome have been different? And does your answer tell you something about the system she was navigating? If this kind of evidence-based, fact-first coverage matters to you, like this video, share it with someone who needs to see it, subscribe to your channel name, and turn on notifications. We follow every case until the full picture emerges. This one is far from over.